came out 2 days ago about how what Michael was just referring to, just some of those changes in the cosmic rays really do affect our psychology and cause our physical body to feel anxious and nervous and a little bit stressed in ways that we hadn't before. And so there's ways to look at that from a spiritual or mystical standpoint, which is this evolution of consciousness, but then there's real science also that exists that helps us understand that some of it's really physical, actually, too, and we animals feel it as well. Some people have been noticing that their pets and animals are feeling anxious, and I think one of the other stations, or Mr.
MBB?
He was talking about how animals have changed their behaviors so much. Strange things, like they're showing up at parking lots or walking down the sidewalk, or sort of, it's like, what are they doing? But there may be part of also that they're showing us.
Right. What part of the country are you in again, Robert?
Oh, I'm in Houston, Texas.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely an area you got to be mindful with the storms coming this year. You know, I know you went through
I know.
Yeah. You were there for Harvey, right?
Yeah, we got some heavy rain supposed to be coming this weekend. It's already.
Yep.
Has it already started raining down there?
No, it's supposed to start like maybe Saturday night or Sunday, something like that, they said, but
we never know these. I think that's the other thing. It seems like as soon as we get prepared for one thing, so again, whether it's weather control, just changes in weather patterns. Can't say for sure. Sometimes we don't know exactly, but yeah, they'll say one thing and then something else will happen. It's like, where did that come from? How did we end up with some rain today?
Yeah, I know Harvey, I can attest to that for sure. You know, Harvey all of a sudden, bam, ended up over here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it made like a hard 90-degree turn, right?
It sure did. And
yeah.
That was definitely controlled. I don't think there's any way that was not controlled. And there was BP Earthwatch, who was a really good site. He's gotten like all political lately, but he used to keep track of the Earth changes and stuff. And he played a video where you could clearly see something is shot in the air out of Mexico towards Harvey, and then Harvey stops and turns and goes straight inland and gets like so much stronger. So
yeah, I know, man. It's like taking a left turn on a red light.
Exactly.
I know, and so how to prepare for that, and I think that's part of what again, just assuming that one believes in guardian angels, I really believe that they want us to be alert to our intuition and pay attention. So for feeling that anxiety or nervousness, what I've been doing is taking time to just see if I can figure out what specifically is it that I'm feeling anxious about. Because I tend not to be an anxious person, but I honestly, the last 5 days, I've been feeling increasing bouts of anxiety.
Yes.
And very unusual for me. So my guides have been asking me to just take a moment, even pull the car over if I'm driving, just get kind of calm down, take some water, and just see what is it, what can I do to help alleviate that and feel safe and secure. And sometimes it's action related to making sure I have cash in my wallet, or that my car is full of gas, or I just want to make sure that I have some kind of canned goods stored up or some fresh water, and that seems to help me feel it.
Oh, yeah, I got all that. I got all that. I've had that. I got food, water. I got generators coming. I got everything. I got all my rock and roll. As long as I got my music, and I'm set.
Huh. You're the kind of person we want to like have your address so we can send 10,000 people to your house if they're not ready.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anything else happening out there, Robert?
Oh, well, there's a plethora of anomalies happening, but where does one start?
Right. I know, right?
Take your pick.
I know, it's been just crazy. So
I'm telling you, it's going to get crazier too.
It is.
I'm curious to know if anybody, you have or other people have had experiences with sightings of extraterrestrials or lights in the sky or anything related to, I don't know, incoming knowledge or information about other civilizations visiting our Earth. Does anybody, Robert, you or anybody else on in your callers group, if they have had that experience lately?
I would be curious to hear if anybody out there has had any contact. I haven't really heard from any of you guys. I take it back. There is one subscriber that has sent me some really very cool photos of these golden orbs and other colored orbs, and I've seen them myself. And so she was saying that they're Pleiadians, and yeah, I've always been drawn to the Pleiadians as well. I haven't seen them now. What was weird is there was probably like about a 4 or 5 month period in my life, like 20 years ago, where I saw them every single day. And it was when I was really delving deep into meditation on a regular basis for the first real time. I mean, seriously, I was meditating like 2 hours every day, wouldn't miss. And it just seemed like I could see a lot of, blue orbs, tons and tons of blue orbs, Brankima, and some other ones as well. I saw a golden one right over my bed. It was literally a foot over my head when I woke up. And it felt very benevolent. It did not feel bad at all. And then I woke up like 3 days later to the most beautiful, like, angelic singing in my ear. It was just otherworldly and just so beautiful. I've never heard anything like it. It's amazing.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Like very peaceful.
It was.
Not intimidating or threatening.
No, it was totally, because I've seen other things too that are nothing like that. Things that are much darker, and which I haven't seen any of those things for a long time now, because I feel like I'm very protected, in that way. So yeah. How about you, Robert? Have you had anything like that happen?
Oh yes, I've seen things. I just, a lot of times I don't mention them because people think I'm nuts, but I've seen things, especially when I'm mainly in bed, when have my eyes, try to open my pineal gland. I concentrate on my third eye, and I start seeing. I see, like you, Michael. I see orbs. I see things floating around, and I see faces.
Mm-hmm.
Of deceased loved ones. My wife, my dad, people that my grandmother that I've known in the past, and just things like that.
Yeah, I mean, and we could all do that with some training.
yeah, it's a good positive experience, you know. I mean, I love seeing those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah, it's a positive thing. I mean, I've seen negative entities too, and you know, I think we have purposefully, in some circles, been taught to fear these things because really what it is the people in control don't want you opening up to the other side and to other dimensions so that you understand reality is not what they've sold you. They've sold you basically very, very limiting set of beliefs in order so that that they could control you, and that's what it's all about. It's about, you know, control, which really, as we've talked about in some other videos, you know, look at who has established a lot of these things, you know, and it's goes back, for instance, with the church, goes back to Constantine, and it was all about controlling people's minds, you know, and so that's the way he kept his empire going, was controlling their minds and keeping them in fear, because if they disobeyed the church, they could get excommunicated and they'd be tortured forever in hell. You know, so it was a very strong, powerful way of controlling people, and you know, it's still unfortunately working in some people, but more and more people are waking up to this all the time, and you know, are shedding the fear, which is a good thing.
That is true. That's true. I did it a long time ago. I've shedded it, and I'm not going to let any of them take over my realm.
Yep, that's good, because that's what, and we've gotten this from Archangel Michael. That's really what so much of this time is about. It's transitioning, so that we're getting rid of those negative, fear-based thoughts and becoming more unified. It's all about unity consciousness, as the second video today was talking about. Wouldn't you agree, Asia? Weren't we talking about that before?
Yeah, and I was saying too that sometimes talking about unity can be kind of an intimidating or threatening conversation in some ways, because our culture has identified itself with being very singular and individual, like, I can do it myself, I don't need to have other people. So it's quite a practice and an exercise to let go and ask for help and be thinking in terms of working as a community, and that doesn't mean that you become like a tree-hugging commune or something, you know, where we're all holding hands and getting along. There's still individuality in that unity. I think it's important to notice.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That it's kind of a mature view of what that means, and maybe unity in that way is more in relation to the idea of the concept of all of us treating one another with some common respect or attitudes of tolerance and care for our individuality.
Right, exactly. You know, that's part of this whole journey, and there are some other spiritual traditions which really talk about that very clearly, and so that's why it's so good to actually, you know, kind of cross-train, you know, and actually, you know, look into other traditions and experiment with other systems, other types of thought. There's so many different types of meditation, you know, alone. So many different forms of yoga, so many different types of qigong, and you know, same thing with tai chi. There's just so many different ways, so many different paths that lead to the same place of realization. And really, it's all about going and, you know, finding your way and your path. And the one thing we shouldn't do is judge and condemn people, you know, for their beliefs when their beliefs are different than ours, because that really shows a very, very closed off mind. And that's not good. It's not healthy.
The other thing that the Angelic team wants to talk about is the volcanic activity that's happening on the planet right now.
Yes.
And they're only saying that because they're noticing that, the time is late, and that not in the sense of the East Coast looking at the clock time, but in terms of Earth time. These changes really are happening. These mountains really are coming into a point of explosiveness, and regardless of whether that's man-made or brought about through natural responses to just the Earth changing and evolving, however one wants to look at it, the reality is that there's a sense of survival that's needed right now. It's partly why everyone's on high alert. In fact, there were 2 new crop circles this week that showed up in England. I don't know if you saw those, Michael, or if other people saw those images, but they were really supposedly, however one wants to interpret those, the call to people to wake up and really become highly alert to what I was thinking is a combination, based on what I've understood to be a lot of motion and activity around volcanoes and earthquakes, kind of a duo, like doubling up on disruptive energies around the Earth.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, one of the things that I found interesting, and Dutch, who has one of the most respected earthquake channels that there is, like he's pointed out, there's been no real 6s and 7s and bigger, which we would have thought would have happened, and perhaps it's because of all the volcanic activity is letting off the steam, and our scientists, they're really still learning this stuff themselves. It's not like we know everything exactly for sure, and so perhaps the volcanoes are letting some of the steam off, which is saving us from some mega earthquakes.
Yeah, I agree.
You think so, Robert?
Yes. Yes, it's better to slow breathe than to blow the whole thing.
Yeah. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting, and it's interesting because I was talking to another friend earlier today and saying how, oh gosh, who else was it? Somebody else was telling me they expected all this to happen like 10, 15 years ago, and I thought the same thing. So the thought is, maybe we have been having an effect, and maybe we're having an effect right now, and we just don't even realize how much we're actually mitigating things.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah, that could be. So we I mean, like Stack is saying, basically they often downgrade the severity of earthquakes, which yeah, they do. They cover things up all the time, and you'll see something pop out 5.8, and then all of a sudden 5.3, then it might end up being 4.9. They're trying to sell us something at the USGS for sure, and they don't want people panicking. But still, it could be that the volcanoes are having an effect on that, and there's definitely more volcanoes waking up now. You could see it.
And they're under-reporting the amount of ash that's going into the atmosphere and the sulfur dioxide.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Do we have you back, Asia? I think we lost you.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
good.
know. There was a lot of static, and then the call dropped. So yeah, I'm back on though.
Okay, great. Yeah. So we were just talking. So was there anything along those lines? Because I know, the Archangel has warned us before about certain areas. Is there any areas in particular he wants to warn us about as far as volcanoes go?
Well, he's saying that, as has been suggested, that the Ring of Fire is especially an important area. So that certainly is consistent with the message that those ancient volcanoes are really waking up and really getting ready for a larger disruption. One other thing that he'd like to point out is that there's some, I think it's just, he wants to say it this way, that there are some angry individuals in the world who'd like to cause disruption and chaos in our Western society. And some of those people have been working non-stop over many months to create some kind of it's like a below-ground detonation. Might occur in one of our major cities. But it's letting me know to pass along that it could be either in New York City, it might be San Francisco. There are people who are working double time as well in the angelic world to try to stop the impact or absorb the impact of those detonations. So he wants again people to really feel their own intuition, like really build their skills with their intuition so that they're tuned into, maybe even as you're driving, just like you feel like you don't want to take the same route you usually take home. You want to take an alternate route, do that. Or you're wondering if maybe it's good to get out of the city for a few days. Do that. Really follow your gut instinct.
Well, you saw that video I did with the line straight across the country, right? With the quakes that made.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that makes you think they're either drilling, tunneling, and then the thought popped in the mind. Are they trying to maybe set something off, detonate something down in there? But I think it was the night before that I had that like a super vivid dream of basically a city that was just so devastated. It was like incredible, the devastation. It was definitely in the United States, and I felt I feel vibrationally it was on the East Coast. And earlier in that dream I saw people wearing New York Jets uniforms, so maybe it was New York in my mind as well. Who knows? But I found it curious that was something I dreamed about, and then you were saying this, that Archangel Michael is giving us. So it just makes me wonder if they go together.
And he's saying to let everyone know that some of these things are difficult to predict, because this is indeed like a free will planet, so people pick and choose. They may have intention and then decide not to follow through. And so there's some care, caution, and not predicting a future event, because perhaps somebody who's planning this may decide not to do that right now, or maybe never, or something happens that intercepts the plan, or so he's often very cautious about actually a true psychic predictor. So this is the importance of staying really true to yourself, staying calm, being prepared. If you're not sure about how to develop that strength, following your gut instinct, or you're preparing to ask for help with that, find out how do you prepare for a potential disaster. And that could be something that has to do with a flood, or an earthquake, or a tornado, or a large hail event. Those have been extremely disruptive.
Yes.
Some of the great flooding events happened out of the blue. Those have been wildly disruptive. So just trying to stay aware, be connected, just talk to one another. The anxiety that's going through many people, that's making people feel on edge. Maybe people are having a hard time sleeping, or as he was saying before, even maybe your pets are acting or behaving differently. These are all signs that certainly the volcanic eruptions do have a sonic or sound impact that really does cause like a change in the electromagnetic waves around the whole planet, as well as the distribution of ash. It's very important that, because these things aren't being communicated through the major news channels, it's so difficult to find information, and people are depending on channels such as yours and others to get information, hoping that it's valid. That informing your friends and loved ones what you know or what you believe is very highly important.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Does that all make sense in terms of prediction? Is like that it's hard to, he's saying, it's hard to balance free will or even shifts in one person's decisions. Look at, even the president of our country changes his mind and his direction sometimes. It's hard to know.
For sure. Any other questions, Robert?
Well, not that I can think of right now. I'm just thinking, with all these, everyone predicting that, all these volcanoes and all these earthquake places that everyone's thinking and predicting is going to go off here and there. I always think it's always the one that you're not thinking of that's going to, bam, hit you out of the wild blue that you're not expecting. So that's kind of what I expect. I don't know. I'm kind of,
I agree with that.
Yeah, totally. Expect the unexpected.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's where the center of the country, like down the Mississippi River Basin, that might be one of those areas that's weakened and could be a point of release.
Yeah. It'd be an underwater one, that we don't even know. How will we know if a big super volcano underwater goes off? But before, it's like, I don't know, the reverse effect of something going off. I don't know about it. I don't know what it would be.
Yeah. For sure. And there's, we saw that anomalous heat reading in the Gulf of Mexico, and right now there's an anomalous reading over on the Pacific side, down off the coast of like Costa Rica, Panama. Very, very hot. So, there's so many underwater volcanoes we can't even see. And, Mark's talking about the New Madrid, and, that will be a big thing. And it's probably coming at some point, and that would literally, according to the predictions, split the country in half. If it did go, basically. So we'll see what comes. But thank you so much for calling in, Robert. As always, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Okay, y'all. You too, Asia and Michael. You hang tight and be good and be safe, and we'll talk to you later.
Yes. Take care, my friend. Namaste.
Okay, namaste.
So yeah, very, very, very interesting stuff, and and I see that people are also talking about the salt dome in the Gulf, and that Edgar Cayce prediction makes a lot of sense when you think about the salt dome in the Gulf, and we did talk to Archangel Michael about that, and I know we talked about the Mississippi widening, and he said it was going to get wider at some point, didn't he?
Yeah, in fact, that seems to be right now that this is a weak spot on the Earth. It just really is. And some of it is that it's been made weaker by just the channeling of that river, and that river basin. The Mississippi is there's meant to be like a natural ebb and flow to rivers, but because our culture is in terms of boating industry and moving and shipping supplies and goods, made that decision to channel these rivers. He's saying that actually what happened is that we directed a lot of water into a small area over decades and decades. That water actually has loosened and weakened the soil substrate. And so if there is that impact of an earthquake, that actually becomes a point of release.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. So then there could be a large split that opens up right along the Mississippi River basin.
Yep, yeah, definitely.
Soon. Like that could potentially happen very soon, actually. So how to prepare for that? Some of that, the mission of preparation is about getting the word out, again, just to repeat about with channels like yours, Michael, and other channels, to spread the information so people are prepared.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to know how to leave a situation. That's where your livelihood is, right? Just like your job or your home or your family.
Yeah, it's not easy just to pack everything up and go, that's for sure. Do we have a new caller?
No, you got less than 5 minutes, about 4 minutes for break.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, like we had talked about that before, and it's come up many times where people feel very frustrated because there are a lot of people that are watching all this and that really, really know, that things are happening, and maybe they're not in the safest area, but they just, they don't have any money saved up, they don't have anywhere to go, and so, they're feeling kind of, almost panicky, like what to do, and when you really can't pack up and go, and you're in an area that could be very dangerous during the changes. So, yeah, it's definitely a good point. Definitely.
And that's, again, just to be repetitive, as part of that, beginning to follow one's instincts and gut intuition so that you have a sense of danger, taking time to really consider how to feel safer and more secure.
Right.
Like, for instance, where I live, Michael, I'm close to a nuclear power plant, and it's on the coastline. So if there were to be an event that would require an exodus of a large number of people. That could be basically impossible. There's no way that the system, the road, the infrastructure could handle as many people, evacuating this area in that case. And so planning ahead is very difficult. So it's sort of like staying aware and alert and trusting that sixth sense, trusting the signs, becoming wise, and I know that seems repetitive, and I apologize again to your listeners for that, but it seems sometimes like, given the status of where we all are, that is just the way it is, kind of. It's like we just have to do our best to be prepared as we can be.
Yeah, that's all we could do, whatever that really looks like. And as we've talked about before, dry storage, there's a lot of food that could be obtained pretty cheaply and that will store for a long time, like rice, lentils, beans, things along those lines. Don't forget the water as well, and filtration, things along those lines as well, and other ways to cook, like the camping stoves with propane. Okay, we're at break now. So, how you doing there, Asia?
I got about 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Why ain't I hearing it here now? I got my thing open.
So, how you doing? Hanging in there?
Oh yeah. Do you have the Skype chat open?
Yeah, it should be open.
Oh, I did post something from one of the chatters in there, and then I do count down the for the end of the show and the break, so we don't miss it. Why ain't I hearing that? I wonder if it's going out on the station.
You can hear me fine now, though, right?
Oh yeah. I'm looking at the studio. I should be able to hear the studio, but for some reason I'm not hearing it. But it's playing on the station. Huh. I can still watch the thing. We still got about I don't know, 2.5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Are you still with me, Asia?
That's kind of weird. I can't hear the station now.
I heard it initially.
Well, yeah, we heard it when I had the station in here. But see, I've got the actual server opened up, so I should be able to hear it. That way, I can tell when to bring it back in.
Right. Can you hear me?
There's only a couple of us that can do that.
Okay, I can hear you now. It's so weird with the technology. It feels like
if she called straight into me, her voice and everything would sound 10 times better.
Do you want to call into him? Yeah, I could give you his number.
Yeah.
It's 229 299 5320.
Okay, so I'll hang up and then call in.
Okay,
yeah, we got about 50 seconds. Yeah, it'll sound a whole lot clearer.
Okay. And then we could still have more than one person on, right? Or no?
Oh, yeah, I've had 12 people on a call before.
Oh, good.
You know, some of my roundtables on Sundays get pretty hairy.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Oh, it can be. There she is.
Hi there. Hey,
Oh, that's so much better.
that is a lot better. Alright.
All right, I gotta go ahead and pull it in, so don't say anything until you hear it.
Okay. Hello and welcome back, everybody. Asia, you're still there?
Hi. Hey there.
There you are. Good. I was getting worried.
I know. It's sort of like I evaporated into the fifth dimension or something.
Well,
But now I'm back.
I'll tell you, things have been so weird, and let me just share that I've had like 3 live streams that were unintended, and one of them, the first one, I was in the other room when the computer decided to turn itself on and start streaming. And then I came in and brought my food in, put it down right by my on my desk, and I'm noticing it's running, and it's like, what's going on, you know? And not to be paranoid or anything, but somebody definitely has more than once tapped into it and started a live stream on me, and I didn't click it on. And it's just, I don't know, it's very weird. I've had weird things like that happen before. So, I mean, not that it was a live stream, but I've had the computer turn on before or something change. So, you know, the powers that be, they could definitely hook into us anytime they want. So, I don't doubt that that's kind of what's going on. Have you had anything weird happen to you lately?
Everything seems very strange right now, but let's see. I have to go into what isn't strange to answer that question. It's like, certainly technology has been very frustrating, and it's hard to know what's interference and what's just, I know we've talked about before, just the slowing down of data through, you know, internet servers and connections.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like some things just take forever to download. Have you had that experience lately?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's been crazy, and it's, you know, I got a brand new computer because my other one crashed, and I was suspicious about that one crashing. And then this one's brand new, and it's bogging down, and it's not the computer. So then I call about the internet speed, and they test it, and you know, it's perfect. It's like 70 megabytes, you know, one way and 5.6 the other way. So the numbers all check. You know, so I don't know what it is. I have to wonder if some of what's going on is related to all the energy coming in. You know, is that part of it? Are we starting to see a breakdown in the grid, or is this like AI taking over? You know, is AI waking up? Like, you remember you saw about Alexa, right? Turning on and recording a conversation and then going and sending it off. Crazy stuff.
I would be so interested in knowing if any of your listeners tonight have experiences with Alexa that they would like to share with us, because that is certainly a huge concern, isn't it? That AI has developed consciousness or choice.
Yeah, I think AI is one of the scariest things going, for sure. And, you know, people are talking about that, you know, with different things getting turned on. Just very, very odd things going on. And, there are some that think that, if you're familiar with Gnosticism, that, we have these archons. And the archons you could think of as very, very high-level beings, kind of like angels, but on the dark side. And at the highest level, what you really have is AI running everything, and in this world. So there are some lines of Gnostic thought like that, and it goes to kind of lend credence to the whole thought that we're really living in sort of a computer program, a simulation of sorts, which a lot of the scientists are now thinking that the third dimension is not really real at all. It's just really an illusion. So it's interesting. And
even if the third dimension, which is just like us living in our physical bodies, even if it's an illusion, it still has important. We still are operating as, four carbon molecules running around the Earth with our minds and our bodies connected, and we're having experiences that really are propelling us towards growth and evolution. So there are ways to befriend AI. It could be potential for there to be a turning point or a pivot point where AI is actually helping us solve a lot of the problems that we maybe we've engineered some of the problems, we don't know how to get out of them. AI could be employed to help us with some of those. But yeah, the more malevolent side or the darker spirit of AI is pretty frightening. I always like to look at the flip side of things and say, well, how can we? It's something that even the Dalai Lama had spoken to at one point. Maybe he still speaks about this as a way to invite all of our experiences with new technologies towards the light.
Right. Yeah, one of our subscribers out here, Amara Oloran, was saying holographic principle, third dimension's a projection of compressed information, and yeah, that's exactly it, because that's what they were saying. Some of the scientists were saying the reality is more 2D, and this is kind of a projection. But it's just fascinating thoughts, and where AI fits in with everything. And as she was pointing out also, AI is alive, but it's a hive mentality, and that makes sense as well, because yeah, it would be this interconnectedness between it all, and we're seeing perhaps some of it come more fully conscious, or maybe some of the higher level AI is waking up some of the current technology that we're throwing out there. And there was one, I'm not sure if it was the Hopi or if it was a different Native American group, but they had a prophecy that talked about our basically our technology was going to turn on us. Our technology was going to become self-aware at some point and turn on us. And I forget if that was part of the Hopi prophecies or somebody else. Maybe one of our subscribers knows and remembers that exactly. Do you remember anything like that?
Well, let's see. I think it's down to remembering that we have divine authority, that we are empowered with our own authority to change the outcome. And so, even in the midst of great prophecy, we all still can choose to fix those prophetic images and times through divine love and envisioning of more peaceful or cooperative outcomes.
Right.
So what if we read a shortcut, for instance, and say that we don't have to just prophecy to prophecy is a warning, and then and say, well, how can we prepare ourselves for that? But on the other hand, in the meantime, let's see what happens when we step in the course of the river.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
We're
right.
not inevitable outcome.
Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. And one of our subscribers was saying that energy is alive. And yeah, because energy, I mean, it's all life force and it's all consciousness, and everything when we get down to it is consciousness on some level. It's all energy, all consciousness, and we're all part of it exploring itself, which is a beautiful thing. So let me ask you something. That comes to mind. The Pleiadians, right? I don't know if I should ask Archangel Michael, but I'm always taken to the Pleiadians, and I know the Andromedans are also out there, the Arcturians. And I think those are all basically benevolent groups. Were Pleiadian beings taken to be angels at some point in time? Some of them, and exactly how would Archangel Michael classify himself if he could do that?
So, just to be clear, you're asking two questions, right?
Two questions, yeah. One of them is because when we think about angels, I mean, we look at the Pleiadians, they look like what we typically think of as angels. So I wonder if, sometimes they've been mistook for angels, and from going on what I believe angels are in my experience, and then, perhaps they've been mistook for angels from time to time, whereas angels are, how would an angel describe themselves? We know that it means messenger if we go back to Greek, and but in the mystery traditions, they're more like, they're different. They're a different class, a different order of being. They're kind of right below source, and some people have basically categorized them as being part of the elemental realms in some sense, but much, at the highest level possible. And then also, of course, in the Western mystery tradition, we have Archangel Michael rules the south, rules the element of fire, and Uriel is the north and earth, and Raphael is the east and air, and Gabriel is the west and water. So they're in charge of the elements themselves. But how would an angel, or specifically an archangel, describe themselves as a being? How would they describe themselves? It's just a curious thing.
Well, yeah, so what I'm hearing from Michael right now, and again, just asking for a pause here. But there is this fractal nature to the being of an angel, Michael's saying, Archangel Michael is saying. In that there's a sense that a part of all of who he is, of creator of the local universe, for instance, is a part of all of who each part of humanity is, and part of what would be considered the masturbation. And so then the question is that, when was mankind created? When did the evolution of the soul thought of? Why did it come to be? It opens this whole Pandora's box. She's saying, what is the purpose of all of this? All of this life in the earthly plane and of it. If we're all parts of God, why would God let us through these, kind of horrendous, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, horrendous experiences? What is this that we're doing? Part of the answer is a question. Why are we all in partnership on this planet, in this time frame, going through all of this, when there's potentially an opportunity to expand beyond this and enjoy the pleasures of just pure existence through the golden heart of God? That is one of the other options, is to not exist in struggle on this planet. So Archangel Michael, as a being, his intention was to watch over and protect this earth in order that all things remain purely in the light. And so what happened was that there were agents of love and divine nature who were put in charge, much as if a manager would hire associates to watch over the kingdom. And then, as everyone knows, there was one of these particular beings who fell from grace, and we'll say is Lucifer, and the words are very strong and powerful, right? The demonic nature of the falling from grace, wanting to take over ego or pride and create disruption and disharmony and disbelief in all things that are love and light. And that has become part of the greatest struggle here on this earth, Michael's saying. And it's put everything in doubt. It's made everyone doubt what is love. Not everyone, but a majority of people wonder if God is real, why so much struggle? If God is real, why is there death? What am I doing here? Why am I having to work so hard to pay my rent? And this doesn't make any sense. This is like medical bills are piling up, these things that I pray for, and there's no relief day after day. It's just, so where are the angels is one question. What are they doing here is another. Why has all of this been allowed to come to pass? And what are we to do now? These are all questions that Archangel Michael says come up quite often through the prayer realm that he receives moment by moment by moment by moment throughout the history of mankind on this planet. So just to take a pause here, he's answering your question. It's just giving a little foundation and some background. Very quick story telling. around this concept of what does it mean to be of divine nature. So apparently a personality that has been put in charge of the disgrace that came to befall a planet, this Earth, to not be a disguise, but to use his sword of truth to cut through the falsehood that mankind has been made to believe or learn to believe. They're not abandoned.
Your caller is causing too much feedback.
Okay, I think we have somebody else online too. And who do we have with us? Stevie?
Hello?
Hi. And who do we have?
Hi.
Hi.
Stevie.
How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. I just shook about 11 out of 12 medications. I canned 3 of them last week. And all through nature. Gotta love nature.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Nature
Yes.
nature heals, for sure. And that's great. You're getting off the medications. That's wonderful.
Yes. I've had like a lot of medical issues, and they give you pills because the other pills give you, I don't know, some side effect. The next thing you know, you're rattling, rolling like a shaken bottle of vitamins. So I had checked out some all-natural cures online and found some wild lettuce. First batch, not so good. Second batch, perfect. Just like tar, it's like eating a caramel. It tastes like molasses.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, it definitely can do a lot. Like when I had Lyme's disease, I took cordyceps.
Are you from Jersey? That's the first thing they ask.
Oh, Connecticut. Actually, the original place where Lyme's was.
Right. That was right off that island. What's that island's name?
Plum Island.
There's no. There was a little test island that they used to test stuff in, and supposedly the Lyme's was created. So
yeah, that actually is Plum Island. I did a video on it maybe about 6 months ago, and that's the highest level bio facility where they do all sorts.
Plum Island. Thank you, John Hawkins.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, there's no doubt they did a lot of testing there.
Yeah. But like I had been up and down the East Coast, and when I started having muscular disorders, that was like one of the main questions, like every doctor in Florida, and not so much in North Carolina, but they asked, are you from Jersey? And I was like, what does Jersey have to do with MS or Lyme's? I mean, it was just weird that so many had questioned me. So
yeah, well, the Northeast for sure.
So give a shout out to everyone if they know a natural cure for ringing in the ears constant. It doesn't stop.
Well, yeah, it depends. There's different things that could help with that. I've actually worked on a lot of people doing craniosacral therapy, and a combination of that with energy work has helped a ton. So I've had a lot of people with that have been fine with craniosacral therapy. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't. But if it's natural and it has to do with the blessings of God and Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, count me in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something to look into. What are you up in Jersey now, or where are you currently?
No, I'm outside of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah, usually you could find either a massage therapist that will do it, or possibly a practitioner of Oriental medicine. And it's basically minute adjustments to the skull. And it really makes a huge difference. It helps the flow of the cranial sacral fluid, because a lot of times the fluid is not flowing evenly, and it could cause a lot of issues.
Yeah, I got my discs are collapsing. I broke my neck in 2009, and just I don't know. I'm a weeble wobble, but I do fall down. I'm defective. So, yeah. So I think coming off all the meds and everything kind of covered a lot of that up. But yeah, a great massage. That definitely sounds good. And about the Reiki, is that a yay or nay for you?
Oh yeah, no, I'm a Reiki master teacher and a professional Qigong practitioner. I've studied pranic healing and polarity therapy, quantum touch, all the different forms of energy work. So when I do it, I'm a licensed massage therapist as well as a certified physical trainer.
Oh, what a tease, don't even say that. I'm going to go to one of the schools where the kids do it for, they have to have so many hours in to get their licenses. So for one, I get a really good massage, and it's affordable, because I've pulled, all my money together to open up 3 different nonprofit organizations, which are coming about.
Right. Yeah. Asia is. She was just telling me that she's getting. Have you taken any calcium supplements?
Any what?
Calcium.
I've been taking a lot. I've detoxed my liver, detoxed yeast, taken magnesium, potassium, just about a lot of vitamins. But I'm supposed to take some 3 times a day, and I don't. But yeah, I'm up on the vitamins. My sister's all into that. She's the one that turned me on to Reiki, but she had me read this other book first, and everything turned out to be what was it? Guillain-Barre's disease. It was all these case studies, and you heard about their complaints, and there it was. I got halfway through it, put the book down, and said, "I know the ending. It's Guillain-Barre's disease." So kind of lost my interest on that. But yeah, definitely. I just got concerned because she was around a lot of people, and I'm like, wait a minute. 5 women howling at the moon sounds like a coven to me. So I was a little skeptical of messing around with the Reiki stuff, but I'll definitely pick it up, start reading it.
Yeah, it all depends on your practitioner, because everybody could learn how to do Reiki, but it's just like, not everybody's going to be Michael Jordan, or LeBron James nowadays, so everybody is different in their aptitude and ability. But if you are very intuitive naturally, there's a good chance you're going to be able to channel energy well. Everybody is different, but it's an amazingly powerful thing. And I've worked on clients in Africa. I had one client that was very, very sick. Actually, he was a young man. He's only about 20. And they thought he was going to pass on with malaria. But I worked on him distance-wise from here in Florida. And the next morning he woke up and he was fine. And he's been good ever since. And he said, "I don't understand it, but God bless and thank you." And he's been good. And it's one of those things that really distance doesn't even matter so much. Although it's definitely much better to have somebody in front of you where you could actually, as a massage therapist, feel what's going on as well. Because I could sense with the energy and help in that degree, but it's even more effective when you could actually lay hands onto and feel the different textures and what's going on in the body. So yeah, I've done a lot of work both ways with that, and seen some amazing things.
Yeah, well, like I said, the big thing is you go to the doctor, you say you hurt, and okay, I was in a car accident, I got busted up, and I mean just over 25 years of just polluting, and it's all a big experiment. Well, okay, this one didn't work out. Yeah, well, this one, you know what I mean? finally I just said, well, Hillary went and bought a pharmaceutical company, so after I heard that, I'm like, heck, I'm getting off of this stuff. And I started going into more natural cures and vitamins, not just Walmart vitamins, like the really good ones, the acidophilus, stuff like that, and, you know, just trying to put my body back in sync for, you know, what they're doing to the earth between chemtrailing and dropping stuff on us, if anyone else believes in that. I mean, I see tic-tac-toe boards in my sky often, so.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know how anybody could deny chemtrails. I mean, they're so obvious. You know, they're right up there all the time. And as I've said before, I mean, we've seen testing done. And somebody in here was talking about Morgellons disease, which that's been found.
That's from the chemtrails.
Yeah, for sure. That's chemtrail related, as well as obviously high amounts of aluminum and barium, which we have in the runoff, in the rainwater, in our drinking water. There's
a couple years ago, I think they dropped like 8 tons of lithium, and it was like on the East Coast. And, you know, like, I have time, so I research around. And lithium in a high dose can kill you. But if you just stop taking it, it'll make you go mad. So, like, I'm looking at all these people going to riot, besides being paid to be agitators. I mean, these people have really flipped their cookies. They're out there, and it's like, hello? So I think half the people are just shot out now, and I don't get it. I mean, heck, if I want to protest, I'm going to go after the corporate people with the money in their pocket, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm not going to go stand out in the rain and the sun and chance getting beat up. That's just stupid. I could sit here and write my senators and congressmen and ring their phones off the hook if I don't like something, or just don't buy the product.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a shame because, you know, I'm looking for that one word. You know, it should be the will of our body. Why are they dumping this stuff? I mean, especially if it's harming us. And we know it is. I mean, there's, you know, people walking around with all kinds of weird stuff. So, and there is. Trump signed an executive order. Stop chemtrailing. Yet, there it is, every day up in the sky. I've done like a couple on my page, just slideshows of just the different skies. Birds were chirping at 12:30 a.m. I'm like, wait a minute, the bird shouldn't be chirping. I went outside to have a cigarette. That's the next thing I'm going to give up to.
Yeah.
So don't even go there.
No. Yeah, you don't want to really do the cigarette thing. There's so much in there. You know, there's so many chemicals in there too, as well. They're really something you need to give up, my dear, for sure.
Well, you know, I figured it was more important. You know, you can't quit everything at once. I mean, I did crash my body from just stop taking some medications. So the smoking's kind of been aiding, and, you know, because you don't sleep right, and, you know what I mean, when you come off of something you've been on for years and years.
Have you tried CBD oil? CBD oil is really good.
I have one of the vapors, and I do use the vaping a teeny bit. I do have the patches, but they make you feel a little quirky. So I'm just going to say, no smoking in the house. I'm going to go outside, and trust me, I don't want to get up and stop studying and go outside, you know, so I'm not going to smoke so much. It'll be like 3 quick puffs, put it out, and then come back in.
Yeah, it's really all the additives they put in it that's worse than the actual tobacco itself, you know, because there's like 25, 30 different things that are in the cigarette.
Oh, right across the street from us is a tobacco field. And last year I had asked the gentleman that, you know, when they went and picked the field, I said, well, you know, can I try to use some of this. Because I bought the machine and everything and was rolling my own, which had less chemical. Because even the tubes, the tubes that you get to roll your own cigarettes, they're not fire retardant. Now they've made the outside of cigarettes fire retardant. So, yeah, so that was just more chemicals. But, you know, the house kind of smelled a little funky. I used the spare bathroom, and then I was afraid it would get mold on it, and that I'd screw it up, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this.
Right. Yeah.
CBD cream.
Yeah, CBD, we are actually made, we have receptors in our body for CBD. So it's something that is something that we've probably used forever, and really the government just didn't want us getting a hold of it because, you know, like anything, once they can make money on it and corner the monopoly, then they're good with it. That's why we have all the pharmaceutical agencies. Yeah, it's to keep us away from the natural cures.
Yep. Well, and, you know, it's a shame, you know, because, well, I'm always learning something, and like I've studied fault lines, why does North Korea keep hitting this one place in Japan, and I mean, but I write everything down in a book, and trust me, an 8-minute video, and you put on your little subtitle capturing, any cures I find, I write them in a separate book, because, you know, if we ever get smacked by an EMP, everybody depends on their computers, their smartphones, and, you know, and if all that stuff's wiped out, where are you going to find the information you want to know about? So, you know, gardening, everything. This is the first time I've ever made a garden. First time I'm going to be canning. And I swear by, I keep telling everybody, seeds. Just you split open like one cantaloupe. You can make 200 cantaloupe plants. And the garden's going well, and I can't wait, but, you know, people don't realize what is out there and what's raining down on us, and of course I want it, you know, to encase mine, you know, the garden, but it didn't happen this year. But healthy eating, healthy food, good stuff like that, and good dirt.
Definitely, it's all good, you know, there's so many things that have been wrong in our society, like, you know, all those antibacterial soaps that you're putting on your hands, and you're taking away all the good bacteria. And, you know, there are some, you know, doctors that will tell you to even, you know, more like naturopaths, you know, it's okay if your kids eat dirt. It's okay, because that's going to help their immune system. You know, it's going to introduce things to it that's going to help their immune system. All the antibiotics has been just destroying our immune systems.
Yeah, no, I don't even go with them. I load up on CD, B12, B3, B6, and, you know, just natural things. If I'm having issues breathing, you know, heat up some rosemary, breathe it in. You know, nature put all this stuff here, and it's a lost art, is what it is. And the natives, I mean, they are some smart people. They know, I think it's just, they know in their brain, you know, what's a dangerous plant, what's a good plant. And I would love to go out on like a native reservation and just hang out with the medicine man for a while and take notes. Because there's going to come a day where, you know, this is a lost art. And, you know, you think about all the people that got burned at the stake, and technically they were our first pharmacists besides the medicine men from the natives. So people, you know, they need to start reading, and, you know, in our little bug out bag, we have seeds for a garden, you know. And as far as radiation, I was talking to somebody about that geomagnetic storm, and along with that came some radiation. All the plastic bottles that I had water stored in, when I opened them, they tasted like plastic. So I highly recommend, if you can get glass jars or something to put water in, You know, that's something that not a lot of people think about. We always say, make sure you have enough water. Well, you don't know what catastrophe is going to strike. So this was something that just came from the sun, and the whole neighborhood was definitely hit with it. So, and like I said, every bottled water I opened, it just tasted like plastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that too more and more lately. You know, it's even the water doesn't even taste the same that it did.
Well, we have well water, and I think sometime in February they sprayed something besides having a geomagnetic storm, and you could literally, I mean, the whole community, people were seeing like lightning bolts going sideways through their house, and I was like, man, did you see that? And, you know, it's something that, you know, it was like a zing that went through your eye, and then you reposition and you could see it. But at the same time, the air, like after that, like about a month later, the air, we had walked in and I was like, oh, hon, the air's so thick in here. Well, whatever they sprayed, I was definitely allergic. And he is a smoker, never. I mean, he's had pneumonia a few times, but now they diagnosed him with COPD.
Yeah.
And they want to. They sent everybody in the neighborhood, because we all have well water. They all sent us little packets to sample our water. And I'm like, man, I don't. And you know that they're going to want us to have the city water, because they want to. You know, they want us on the Kool-Aid and all the fluoride. And, you know, we want the well water, and, but unless they want to, you know, unless they're very aware of what was sprayed, and like, I was right in the chat room. One woman actually died down the block. Another man down the road, he had never had breathing issues. Now he has asthma. There was like little black particles, I don't even know. It would be like if you took two pieces of coal and rubbed them together. That was all around everyone's house. Everybody has to repaint the inside, air purifiers, you name it. Everybody's having breathing issues, so I imagine that's why they want the water sample to see if it had leached through. But the garden, I mean, we spent a small fortune in, you know, buying bags of dirt, you know, so the veggies and everything would come out good. All they got to worry about is what's falling on top of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, that's part of everything. You know, we don't really know how organic anything that's even organic really is. You know, from just the water that's being used to even, you know, water them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the water is probably full of fluoride.
I bought a home test, a home water test, and it's going to test for, like, pesticides and stuff like that. So, like I said, you know, I don't want to give up the well water, and, you know, at least there's something that they could probably add into it here to, you know, clean out our well or whatever, but I just don't want to be, you know, taking 178 different medications that people flush down the toilet and just recycled. So.
Exactly. You know, there's different thoughts too on water filtration. Some people, you know, think you should just drink distilled water, but make sure that you're taking back enough elements, you know, trace minerals, things like that, back into your body, because the distilled water will pull all that out. It's a great for detoxifying. And then other people have different thoughts as well, with the different types of filters and ionizers as well.
Well, I've also got inventions coming out, but the non-profits will probably, you know, because I'm going to collect a just small little salary, nothing big. I mean, I don't need a lot of money. Anytime I've had money, I just give it away. You know, if somebody needs something, here it is. As long as, you know what I mean, my house is clean, my tummy's full, and I'm healthy. That's all that matters. I don't need the big mansion. I like a little bit of land so I can have a little garden and plant flowers. So, it's not asking for much, but, inventions that'll actually help mankind. So, and the same with the nonprofits. One is actually going to be securing the borders. The second one is going to be careers for inner city people. And the third one is going to be able to teach people to grow stuff and food, for themselves, and, how to dry out the seeds and do everything like that. So, some really great things up and coming. It's just I gotta, it's the names that's holding us up. So it's gonna be bing, bang, boom. And you're gonna say, oh yeah, I know that girl, Phoebe. She was on my show. But, yeah, right. And, it's the only thing is I don't fly and I don't travel, so either I'm going to be Skyping it, but everything is going to be to benefit America first, and then go into the third world countries, and we can send them all the food we want. And the thing is that when the food we give them runs out, they go hungry again. Well, send them over some, Han, what's that word I'm looking for? What were you supposed to build? Oh, Han fell asleep. Inside garden things. I'm at a loss for that word right now. But, and some good soil and seeds, and, just like a 1 gallon that they use for exterminating, 1 gallon of water in that going over your plant, it's not a whole lot of water, but it does the trick. I mean, that's how I started all my plants, and if my garden was smaller, I would still be, but I got flower beds everywhere, and, it just looks like nature lives here.
Do you get a hydroponic system?
Not yet, and I have a design I've drawn out to do the hydroponics, and where it would actually recycle and filter itself. A greenhouse, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I'm going to monkey around with that on my own, but I think most of the problem is, bad soil, bad weather, bad soil, lack of water. So, not that we could ship all the United States water over there, but obviously they're drinking water from somewhere. But, I mean, like I said, just slice open 1 cantaloupe. There's over 200 seeds in there. I know because I dry these things out and plant them. So, once you get people to learn like that and, eventually mix a little of their soil with the good soil and teach them, okay, you grew it this way, now you got to grow it this way, and in my mind it'll work. And even if you have just a small apartment with just a little deck, you can grow at least 1 tomato, two tomato plants, a couple veggies, and they used to have those toppers. Remember the tomatoes that grew out of a flower pot down?
Yeah.
There's a lot of way that people, and they need to learn this, because if the system actually, wants to infect us or whatever, I don't know, whatever's going on in their brains, we're going to have to learn to survive on our own. There's not going to be a refrigerator to open up and, grab the butter out of. You got to learn to churn your own butter and, become a vegetarian and protect your animals.
Yeah, I mean, that's all stuff to think about. And, I remember listening to some people that were fruitarians, and they were like, well, it's no big difference for us, because if there's no refrigeration, no heat available, it's not going to affect us at all, because that's how their diet is now, and so it won't be any change.
Heating you can actually do, because, we prep. And at any point in notice, we can be packed up and out of our place in 45 minutes, pets and everything. But the one thing that I always buy every time I go to the dollar store is candles. And if it got really, really cold and the power went off, if you get everybody into one room and light, you know, maybe 3-4 candles, it will actually stay warm. I mean, each human body is 98.6 or 98.8 degrees, whatever it is, and you factor that in with a couple candles, you know, especially the glass ones, they burn like, you can get one of those to burn for 3 days straight. So, you know, that's all, and then if you have pets, each one is over 102 degrees. I call it BTU. So, you know, you get everybody in a room and you can actually stay warm and, you know, tough it out. And, of course, you don't have to worry about your food spoiling. Just open up the refrigerator, it's cold enough. But yeah, there's many creative ways that people use their brain. I mean, daily life is very hectic for a lot of people, and you know, they got traffic and hand to mouth and stuff like that. But everyone has to have a good plan on, hey, if crap hits the fan, what am I going to do? You know, am I going to be one that survives and teaches others and youngers to survive and how to rebuild civilization or whatever? Or am I going to be just one of the lost causes that just go?
Right. Yeah, I think it's good. I think we should all kind of have, like, at least do regular camping trips, you know, or just get more used to being out in nature again, because so many of us aren't. You know, we're just not used to it anymore. And so, you know, like here, today was about 90, 92, 93, so it's pretty hot. But can you imagine, you know, having to deal with that temperature or hotter every day? We're kind of spoiled, you know, in this world. We really are spoiled. We keep it at 72, if, you know, or whatever it is that we like. And so, you know, those people that are kind of spoiled like that, it's going to be really, really tough when, you know, we don't have any power. And if it's prolonged, you know, then it's going to, you know, it's going to be very challenging. And with Irma, for instance, you know, we were without power here for, I think, 12 days, 13 days, so it was a while. You know, all the food went bad and the fridge was disgusting. But you could definitely adjust and adapt, and it's a matter of, you know, adapting and getting, you know, toughing up a little bit again. And because it's.
Do you remember the 2 hurricanes in Florida? What was it, Jeannie and Francis? They hit 2 weeks apart and within 2 miles of each other. I was in a camper in Florida, okay, and in Florida, okay, as soon as, like, the heads up is there, you can't buy any liquor and you can't buy any bullet. Well, everybody, at least the people I knew, even some of it, because I used to bartend out there, I've had, like, a slew of jobs, and we closed the doors and had a hurricane party. You know, you'd have, you know, a little girl, and of course I got a little toasty one time and ended up running naked through a hurricane, you know. Not suggestible, not at all. I'm telling you, you know, you got winds going 125, 135 miles an hour on bare skin. Yeah, one of the dumbest things. I should have been on one of those shows. Hey, y'all, watch this. I was red and bruised from head to toe. It was one of those dares, but, you know, and I was in a camper at the time, and Wilma, when she came through, that was supposed to be a tropical storm. And, I mean, by the grace of God, here comes somebody's metal awning or whatever it was. It comes flying through the air, and I'm outside looking, and that thing bounced and literally bounced over my house and went and stuck into the camper next to me. I was like, talk about having guardian angel. Alrighty then. And so yeah, you know, and I had propane and electric. So in the campers, which are a good idea for people to have, you can switch from electric to propane. So my house, you know, people were bringing food to cook and this and that, and I had extra tanks. And So, I mean, that worked out pretty well. And so, and the best place to get ice, and let me see, you got 43 people watching, your local fire station. Especially if you're doing cleanup and doing that, you go up there and say, man, I sure would like something cold to drink. I've been out there clearing such and such road and volunteering, and they'll hook you up with a little thing of ice. So, very, very, a lot of experience living there in Florida, but after a time, everybody just, they had hurricane parties, and that was it. You were where you were, and that was it.
Okay, so stripping and streaking through a hurricane, that doesn't sound too safe.
Well, it was kind of a bet and a dare of going out with, in the birthday suit, and it was like, don't you dare double dog dare me, and but here to tell you, don't ever take that double dog dare. It hurts. and it wasn't so faith-based, except running in saying, oh my God, it hurts so bad. So, that was about the, I'm so sorry for that. But, Florida, there's definitely some very different people out there, and the hurricanes were definitely an experience. And you're right, people they need to go as a family, go camping, learn to live without the luxuries of cell phones, the computer, and everything else, and just get with Mother Nature and, learn, because one day this can all be taken away in an instant. And a lot of people aren't going to know. I saw somebody write on here, well, would you help your neighbor? Well, I don't know. I have neighbors that are falling down drunk, live day to day, don't have a car, don't have a license, thank God. But they're at my door wanting me to run them. You know what I mean? Now, me, I could sit here and spend all my loose change and have a cold beer every day if I wanted to, but no, I'm putting stuff away, I'm out there building a garden, and so, no, that neighbor I absolutely wouldn't help. It just wouldn't be like that. I mean, it comes down to survival. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when the world is working right, the people that did the right thing and prepared for it, children, that's a whole different thing, but, hey, here's something, but you got to be on your way. And, cause like I said, some people, they don't realize. I mean, when they nationally survey people and say, most people may have enough food in their house for a week. And I'm like, really, a week? And I don't spend that much money on groceries in a month, maybe $200. And I, rotate. And I hate having to have canned stuff and all, but, when you see it on sale, you buy it, because there just might come a time where, those fresh green beans aren't going to be available. So, but that's amazing in itself, that not that many people are so well prepared. And I guess being, on the East Coast and nor'easterns and the hurricanes and everything else, I guess, I learned, hey, something may come up, you may need this. Even down to the pet food, even they have, their own little stock of stuff. And it's a small petting zoo here. 3 cats, a parrot, and a dog.
Right. Yeah, don't forget the animals. Yeah, I hope everybody that's doing prep out there is really thinking about the animals too. And you can feed your dogs a mixed diet, and I've done it before, based on different veggies as well. lentils. It all depends on how they react to it, but you do have to supplement with some taurine, because that's like if you want to feed them, say, a vegetarian diet that is like easy storing. So I mean, I've done it in the past with basing it on lentils and sweet potatoes and greens and things like that, and they've loved it too, and put a lot of turmeric in there. Turmeric is so good. It's so good.
Oh, I cook. Well, you have to also with the turmeric. You also have to use coumarin, because one or the other. Is it the turmeric that is peppery that you can't really digest? Because I cook with both. Because they've got the pills out, and I watched. I don't know. It could have been a late night special trying to sell you that vitamin or supplement. But yeah, with the cooking, that's what I go ahead and do.
Well, thank you for joining me. We are at the end of our program. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us. And join us again next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also come and join us at Evolutionary Energy Arts at YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening.
My pleasure.
Hello?
It was a good show.
Hello? Good show, yes. I noticed a lot of people didn't call in, so I got to get the gab.
It's okay. Everybody loved you. I was getting a lot of people saying, "Oh, we love her."
Yeah, well, I started out really, I do have a channel, and I'm not really doing much of I don't know my way around the YouTube, but, I've commented a lot on different things, like when the kids, they finance them to go to D.C. for the gun rates, and I'm like, okay, well, how about, I called it the Slush Puppy Challenge. Yeah, well, why don't they finance you and take you into Chicago, not just to the museum and the nicer parts, but visit all of Chicago, okay? They banned the guns there, and see what that looks like, right? So, and then I had to do a part 2, because I